Thank you, sister. Namaskar and good evening to all participants. First of all, let me chant the Shanti mantra of KATHOPNISHAD. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you for joining this session. This is second lecture on KATHOPNISHAD. Before I proceed with my second lecture on KATHOPNISHAD, let us recollect what we discussed in my first lecture. There was a brief introduction on the general approach of all Upanishads. We started with biblical story, which gives the indication that our true self is hidden within us, and we search for him. We search for the self in external world. The self is buried under ego, desire, emotion, habit, and other embedded thought patterns. The subject matters of all Upanishads deal with it and also how to discover and realize it. Vajasravasa Rishi conducted a sacrifice called Vishwajit Yajna, and pretended to donate all his cattle with expectation of a result which will give him all heavenly happiness. His son, he had only son of 8 years old, and he is called Nachiketa, observed this pretension and asked his father, whom he gives him, because he is also a possession of the father, being the son, obedient son. So he is also wealth of Vajasravasa, and he wanted to know to whom he has donated Nachiketa. He asked the same question 3 times. And Vajasravasa perhaps became irritated, and as we say, go to hell, he told, I give you to Yama. Nachiketa went to the abode of Yama, and as Yama was absent, he waited for 3 days and nights without food and water. And not taking any food and water is significant in this story because it was considered to be tapa. I have mentioned it later on. Yama returned, and as compensation for the pain inflicted inadvertently, he offered him 3 boons. Nachiketa asked for the happy mood of his father and begged that his father will receive him when he goes back, forgetting everything. Yama granted it. As second boon, he asked the Panchagni Vidya or Vaishanara Agni. Yama granted that also and elaborated both exoteric and esoteric aspects of Agni Vidya. Yama tested Nachiketa whether he has grasped it or not. Nachiketa could repeat them in toto. Yama, finding merit in Nachiketa, declared a special boon out of his satisfaction and named the Agni Vidya he has taught Nachiketa Agni. He named it Nachiketa Agni. He also explained Nachiketa Agni. Then Yama asked Nachiketa to ask what he wants as third boon. Nachiketa's question was totally unexpected by Yama. A small boy from mortal world. He was not expecting that he will ask such a high-level question. Nachiketa's question was on Atma, whether there is Atma or not. If it is there, what happens to it after death, whether it is destroyed by death or continue to exist. Yama was taken aback because it was such an esoteric question that even gods do not ask such question. Not that they know it, not that they know it. They do not know, they do not ask also. Yama offered all ultimate wealth, happiness, pleasure to Nachiketa in lieu of the answer to that question. You don't ask such question and you will be bestowed with all the entire world, 3 worlds. He offered him 3 worlds to rule over. He offered him all kinds of happiness which is available in heaven. But Nachiketa didn't agree to that. He said, these are all temporary. I have already elaborated all these things that day, last Sunday, but again, I'm just recapitulating it for our own benefit, the listener and me also, because I want to connect myself with what I have told and from where I have to proceed. Now, Nachiketa, realizing that this material wealth is temporary in nature, sought the Atmavidya from Yama. The argument continued for some time. And finally, Nachiketa said he doesn't want anything other than the path to self-realization. Yama, observing that the boy has qualified for discipleship, finally agreed to import the knowledge of Atmavidya. Here, we were discussing on the qualification of guru and disciple. And I was just about to explain the word ananya. Ananya. When the session ended due to time. And let us start from that point. Ananya is one who is not different from. Ananya is relevant to explain the qualification of a guru. The ananya, guru should be ananya. And in that respect, ananya word carries a lot of momentum with it. And we'll now discuss about that momentum. Ananya is one who is not different from that which he teaches, means guru teaches. Such guru, ananya guru, is not different from what he teaches. Knowledge becomes valuable when it becomes ananya with one's own life. Knowledge becomes meaningful when it is lived, not only taught, but it is lived, and it should not be only heard and read, but it should be lived. Means the guru who is teaching, who has read, who has heard from others, should live what he has been taught. And in turn, when he is teaching that to others, to his disciple, he should live that. That means he should practice it also. This knowledge of truth can be imported by one who is Shrotriya and Brahmanista. These are 2 words used to elaborate the momentum of the guru's qualification. A Shrotriya is one who has a thorough insight into the meaning of the scripture and has capacity to express it in the best form of language. A Brahmanista is one who is established in the knowledge of truth A guru must be living what he teaches, and also he should have the power to express what he knows. That is a Brahmanista and Shrotriya, beautifully blended together. Such a person is Ananya, means this is with reference to the Guru. Whether the question of knowledge and aspiration of truth are concerned, class and social distinction do not count. If the Guru is Ananya, no caste or status matters. The Vaishnava Vidya described in Chandogya Upanishad was taught by a Kshatriya to a learned Brahmin. This Vaishnava Vidya is different. What Jama taught to Nachiketa was Vaishnava Agni. But in Chandogya Upanishad, one Vaishnava Vidya is there. Vidya means meditation. It is, say, Upasana, Sakama Upasana, and meditation. One meditation is Vaishnava Vidya. Our Kathopanishad has also many Vidyas in it. I'll just explain them later on. But here, this Vaishnava Vidya is different. But it was taught by a Kshatriya to a Brahmin scholar. Together with the insistence on necessity of Brahmanista Shrotriya Guru for imparting knowledge, the Upanishad also prescribe requisite qualification of a student. That qualification is Brahmacharya. Charya is conduct, behavior, attitude, disposition, demeanor, and Brahma is the truth. Truth is nonsensory existence. So, Brahmacharya is not merely a withdrawal of the senses from contacts with objects, though it is necessary, but it is not sufficient. It is an inward positivity of attitude with a different stuff of your own. You have some potentiality within you, and you employ that potentiality. You use that potentiality to unfold yourself. That is what the Upanishad means. At this stage, when Jama is ready to import knowledge, that is, gives answer to the third question of Nachiketa. Two questions he had already answered. He was sitting on the third question. He tries to approach gradually. Yama follows this wonderful educational psychology of gradually moving towards ultimate meaning of things, taking the mind of Nachiketa systematically from the lower to the higher, a process which is expressed in a few verses of Kathopanishad. Let me cite those verses. Indriyebhya parahyartha arthebhyascha param manaha manasastu para buddhi buddhi atma mahan paraha mahatah paramabhyakta abhyaktat purusha para purushanna param kinchit sa kastha sa paragatihi. This process of indicating some object by approximation is called Arundhati Darshana Nyaya. Here he says, the senses are not really the physical organs of action or perception. There are other things beyond them called arthas. Means from senses he has gone to arthas, or rudimentary principles known also as tanmatras. From the world of objects, we have come to the senses, and from the senses, we have come to the sensory powers. Beyond these is the mind, because when mind doesn't work, the senses cannot give us any kind of information. Yama says the mind is superior to senses. The intellect should be regarded as superior to mind. There is a higher knowledge than the human understanding. That higher intelligence, superior to human understanding, is called Mahat Tattva, also called Mahat or Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic intelligence. Abhyakta is still higher stage of process of manifestation. Abhyakta is that indescribable and inscrutable precondition of manifestation of all things we call Prakriti, Maya, Abhyakrita, or so on. There are so many words used for that. And in Theosophy also, when the process of manifestation starts, we have gone through all these words. If the universe is to be regarded as an effect, there must be cause thereof. This is seed of all things. And beyond this final cause, the causeless cause, the unmoved mover, the Purusha, it is beyond that. Beyond Abhyakta is Purusha. So, Purusha is the consciousness. We neither call it Sat or Asat. We can know it only by being it. This is important. We can know it by, that is called self-realization. We can know it only by being it. This Purusha, who is beyond the Mahat or Abhyakta, is the eternal and infinite, which is hidden within the cave of your heart, my heart, and his heart, and everybody's heart. The Upanishad cautions us, Uttisthata, Jagrata, Prapya Varan Nibodhata. Awake, arise, stop not till the goal is reached. Seek refuge with men of wisdom. Know it, then by surrender to them. Know it, then by surrender to them. Surrender is a qualification. Nachiketa had earned that surrender. I have told you in my last lecture how he reached the abode of Jama, with what vehicle he went there. And somewhere in Rigveda it is mentioned that he reached the abode of Jama, the inaccessible place for everybody, by that surrender he has earned. Again it says, Khurasya dhara, Nishita durattaya, Durgama pathatat, Kavayo badanti. Subtle is the path, difficult is this way, hard it is to enter the citadel of this mysterious yoga. It is invisible and hence hard in every sense of the term. This way of the spirit is sometimes compared to the track of birds in the sky or the fish in water. You cannot see the track of birds in the sky, though they have a track of their own. You cannot see the beaten path struck in open space for birds to move on, nor can you see the track of fish in water. So is the path of knowledge. It cannot be seen through it, though it is there. The Supreme Purusha, who is beyond the Abhyakta and the Mahat, is not to be reached as we reach a physical destination in this world. We have got a road to the destination, maybe a small track, but we have already a defined track to our destination in physical world. But here, to reach the destination, we have to find out our own path. And who is qualified for that? That is also prescribed. Na abidato duscharitat, na asamto, na asamahitaha, na asanta, manaso ba api, pragyane nainam apnuyat. Pragyane nainam apnuyat. One who is restless to core, disturbed every moment, even by the least occurrence outside, cannot take to this path. Any disturbance of any kind in any part of the personality of an individual will be disqualification for this path. Any type of agitation is to be avoided. We have agitation of various kinds in our personality. There is bodily disturbance, pranic disturbance, sensory, mental, and intellectual disturbance. All these urges have to be subdued. This is described in single word, self-control. A composed personality is the qualified aspirant for yoga prescribed in Upanishad. Dattatreya has said in Avadhuta Gita. Same thing he has to also prescribe. Beyond the qualification of the disciple as well as the qualification of guru, there is a third agent to give success to the disciple to learn, and also the required enthu of the guru to teach the disciple, and that is Ishwarana, Ishwaranugraha, Ishwara Anugraha, Ishwara Anugraha, Ishwaranugrahat eva punsam advaita vasana. With this, with the prescription of these qualifications and qualities of Guru and Shishya, Yama proceed to explain what is Atma, what is self. Atmanam rathinam vidhi. Sorry. Shariram rathame batu. Buddhim tu sarathi vidhi. Manah pragrahame bacha. Indriyani hayanahu. Visayamste sugocharan. Atmendriya manojuktam. Bhuktetyahu manishinaha. Our soul within may be compared to Lord seated in the chariot. This body of ours, this individuality, this personality may be regarded as a chariot in which is seated the soul consciousness. The chariot is driven by charioteer, a driver. The intellect in us is the charioteer. The rein, lagam, the rein are the operations of the mind. The horses which pull or drag this chariot are the senses, the eyes and ears, etc. The roads along which this chariot is driven by the charioteer with the help of the horses are the objects of the senses. All this is made possible by joint activity of Atma, the senses, the mind, the intellect, and objects. This is a very concise and beautiful description, symbolic, dramatic, full of profound meaning. Everything is very essential here. There is no unimportant part in this. This body that is described as chariot is not merely physical body. It is not merely physical body what we see, but entire vestures of the personality. It is concerned with entire personality, which consists of the Panchakosha, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. All these constitute our personality. These layers have to be kept in unison and should be strong. No ayamatma balahinena labhyo. The parts of the chariot should be well harmoniously adjusted. The wheels must be aligned, otherwise there would be no proper motion. Those who drive car, they must have realized if the wheels are not aligned, how the tires are affected, how the car is driven to one side only, and you have to forcibly keep the steering straight. And so here it says the wheels must be aligned, otherwise there would be no proper motion. Let not the mind be agitated when you express yourself in action, speech, and thought. All this is part of the composure of the personality. The objects of senses are regarded as roads along which the chariot is driven. The objects have to become aids in our practice rather than opposition to our efforts. The forces of nature which appeared to be temptation in the early stage of spiritual practice, become helpful in later stage. All law in a all law is a terror when we do not want to obey it. But that law becomes protector when we participate in its requirements. The world is the law of God. The principle of reality as Rita, Satya and Rita, manifests itself as this creation. The objects are nothing but spirit projected in space-time continuum. So here he says, maybe at the beginning in this Rita process, something may look like, appears to be obstacle in our journey. But later on, it becomes helpful. I'll just give an example here. The laws always commands us to wear helmet while driving a scooter. At the beginning, we don't feel comfortable with it. And that's why we say, why such type of rules are there? Why this law is there? But we realize when we meet an accident or when we see an accident of others, how this helmet, which was considered to be an obstacle, becomes helpful in protecting us. Every level of experience is a state of delight for Upanishad. There is no sorrow, no grief, or no negativity there. The object of senses appear as impediments on account of our wrong approach to them. We have no friends, even as we have no enemies in this world. Whether one is a friend or an enemy depends on how we conduct ourselves with others. The chariot or body can go hither and thither if the charioteer lets loose the reins and allows the horses to move according to their whims and fancies. Our intellect can be blurred and clouded by force exerted upon it by senses. The senses are very powerful, and their power is such that their activities can produce an impact on the mind and intellect to such an extent that the mind can think and the intellect can understand things only in terms of senses. The Upanishad warns against this fall. This should not be at variance with each other, means each of our, this chariot and this rein and all that. This is possible only with practice of yoga. Yoga is nothing but the conformity of spirit, the mind, and senses and intellect together. The perception of senses, the thoughts of the mind, and the characteristics of the spirit should coincide. What are the characteristics of spirit? Indivisibility of senses, universality of character, non-objectivity of nature, intelligence and subjectivity as different from externality or objectivity are the essential features of Supreme Spirit. The inner world is the focus. You see, before going to this, let me tell you, in West, before 1.5 century, they were not working much on consciousness, mind, and all that, and psychology. But this knowledge of human behavior, human psychology, human mental and physical interaction had been studied long ago during Vedic period, and that will come to now. The inner world is focus of Upanishad, and the goal of life is peace and bliss. There are two aspects within us, all the real, all. There are two aspects in all, the real self and the mere self. Mere self is a reflection of real self. Real self is imperishable, unchangeable, and the other is changeable and perishable. One is enjoyer and sufferer, called bhokta, and the real is witness. The one is self-effulgent, and the other is its reflection or image. The one is like witness, while the other eats the fruits of its own thoughts and deeds. The nature of Atma is pure consciousness. Atma reveals this entire universe of mind and matter. Atma reveals, that is the function of Atma. Otherwise, he doesn't act. Only due to the presence of Atma, mind and matter acts. In and through the various states of consciousness, waking, dreaming, and in deep sleep, it maintains our unbroken awareness of identity. Yama says, the Atma is never born, never dies, that it is smaller than the smallest atom and greater than the vast space. It is concealed within the heart of all beings. What are the barriers or veils between the real and the unreal, the permanent and the transitory, the transcendent and the immanent? According to Vedantic philosophy, it is the human mind. But it is also the tool that drills, penetrates, and drives one to the innermost kingdom of Atma. So here, as we study in our theosophy, the light on the path. The mind is the slayer of the real. The mind is the slayer of the real. Slay the slayer first. Then only you can have your self-realization. So here he says that in Vedanta also, human mind is the obstacle to realize it. But also the other part of mind is also, it guides us. If properly trained, it guides us to our destination. In the West, the mind is sovereign, while in the East, consciousness is. According to Vedanta, the mind serves or must be trained to serve the consciousness. Descartes' famous aphorism declares, I think, therefore I am. Indian philosophy is reverse. I am, therefore I think. It is not the body that produces consciousness of existence. On the contrary, it is the consciousness of existence that keeps the body alive and activated. That which moves the mind and the body is real self. Atma is everlasting, unchangeable, therefore not subject to death. It is the body that dies, the garment that provides the covering for the soul on its visit to the worldly plane. The fear of death and the pain associated with death are intrinsically linked with attachment to the passing world of names and forms. Birth is not beginning, death is not an end. There is existence without limitation. There is continuity without starting point or end point. Indian philosophy describes the mind as a group of 4 functions called the internal instruments or antakarana. These are 4 faculties: ahankara, ego; buddhi, which is intellect or higher mind, which discriminates, knows, decides and judges. Manas, which is lower mind, that produces the process, which produces and processes data. The importer or exporter through senses, through the sense perception, and finally the chitta. Chitta is the fourth aspect. So the four aspects are ahankara, buddhi, then mind, and then chitta, mana and chitta. Chitta is a subconscious storehouse of impression, emotions, and memories. Manas or lower mind is full of conflict within and without. Manas assumes too much power, ignores the buddhi. In the process of our functioning, day-to-day functioning, this is being observed by even us. A layman also observes this. Without the help of purified buddhi, manas is a source of uncertainty and misery. Over time, the actions of mind becomes habit. The nature of manas is limited to asking whether this or that data should be imported or not, or should be exported or not. Manas should only ask, should, is this good for me or not? Manas should ask this to buddhi. Is this good for me or not? Manas should be communicating these questions with buddhi, and the buddhi should be trained and sharpened to have the answers and to communicate them to manas. That is what the communication between lower mind and higher mind, as we are taught in theosophy. A portion of Gayatri Mantra asks the Almighty to enlighten the intellect, which is to say, to improve the functioning of buddhi. Dhiyo yona prachodayat. Om bhur bhuvasvaha tat sabituruvarenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi dhiyo yona prachodayat. That is the last prayer. Manas and ego are like precarious weeds in the mind. The ego is useful, but its role is limited, not everlasting. It is the sense of I called ego that divides us into separate and individual entity. It is not concrete as we wrongly think. It is a lattice framework to operate from in the world. Manas says to do this and that. The ego says, yes, this is great. This is for me. And I am all that matters. The path of doing whatever manas wants and ego says it needs will end in pain. That whatever path, it will end in path, fear, and more ignorance. This is the path of having, needing, getting, keeping, me, mine, and I. Ego says, this body is mine, this house is mine, this spouse, the children are mine. This sense of ownership, possessiveness creates a fear of death. Death will mean the end to these things, and we own and wants. Whatever we own and wants, death will put. That is why it is also, it has got a name. Death has got another name. I'm forgetting that. That is the end. Death, they say, death is end of all this relationship. The sense of ownership, possessiveness creates a fear of death, because death separates us from all this possession. This is scary. However, when buddhi is trained and used, a person questions, is these things really needed? What is real and what is body? Buddhi teaches us that the body is no more than a person's identity. Buddhi teaches us that the body is no more a real identity. When buddhi is not allowed to function, the self remains hidden. Life is wasted in a futile effort to satisfy manas and ego. The fourth faculty of mind is chitta, the vast unconscious sea in which are stored our impressions, thoughts, desire, feelings. You see how nicely our Eastern scriptures, our Indian scriptures have described the human psychology. The fourth faculty of mind is chitta, the vast unconscious sea in which are stored our impression, thoughts, desire, feelings. The ingredients in the chitta affect our behavior, thoughts, and action. Our desire arise not out of blue. Within our chitta is the tremendous storehouse of feelings and experience. These are the sources of desire. The first step is understanding the four aspects of mind and its functions, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. The second step is to remember what our real identity is. So we have to take two steps at the beginning. The first step is understanding the interactions between all these four aspects of mana, and then we should know our real identity. We are Atman, divine, pure, and we are pure consciousness. Our body, mind, including ego, are meant to serve Atma. Four basic urges: food, sleep, sex, and self-preservation determine personal emotions and their effects on the mind. The fear of death, the fear of loss of belongings, possessiveness in relationship. This possessiveness in relationship is the most important part played by mind, because we lose that when we die. Death delinks us from all these relationships. The fear of death, fear of loss of belongings, possessiveness of relationship, and other phobias create disorder and addiction in our emotion, which are also fed into chitta, creating habits for years, even lifetime, and complicate our life. We need to optimize them and harmonize them. When all the faculties of mind are truly integrated, a person can soar to the higher level of enlightenment. This optimization, harmonization, and integration requires effort, practice, and skill. It means making the mind one-pointed and inward. Finally, it is necessary to calm the mind. Calmness can be established with meditation. When person's body is still and the breath is quiet, and even the mind can begin to concentrate. When the concentration is held, the conscious mind becomes more and more calm, and the clarity of mind grows deeper and deeper. The exploration begins by establishing the philosophy that there may be something more to life. Fear is removed and life is enjoyed only when there is purpose in life. Gradually, we begin to detect that it is not owning and keeping things of the world that matters, but something else, perhaps giving and letting go. A life that is led with unselfish harmlessness, compassion, non-possessiveness, non-covetousness in personal relationship, and towards the greater global community and earth itself is spiritually healthy life. You are not victim of circumstances. Parents, selfish spouse, inconsiderate children, tyrannical bosses, economic depression, or world politics. They are not problems for you. Here, Jama drives us through karma. These are all the objects of senses on which our chariot moves. So here Jama says, Jama drives us through karma, death, samskara, vasana, etc. Let us enjoy the desire. Let us enjoy the drive. Yama told Nachiketa that those who dwell in the darkness of ignorance and are deluded by wealth and possession are caught in the snares of death. These beings will travel back and forth from death to death. Karma is the boat that carries them back and forth. It is necessary vehicle until the journey is finished. The law of karma is inescapable and it does not end with worldly life. When a person dies, he carries the seeds of law of karma within him. Now, I think only 10 minutes left. Should I continue or stop here for addition?
Kindly stop here.
Others?
Stop here so that people may ask, participant may ask any questions or one can share any thought.
Yes, yes. That is most welcome. Others should also add. I am only going on speaking, but then there are more points over which we can discuss.
Thanks, Brother Pandaji. We have benefited a lot by your presentation, your in-depth knowledge on KATHOPNISHAD. You have described the different terms and symbols used in this Upanishad, just like Ananya, Shrotriya, Brahmacharya, Hiranyagarbha, Hotra, which helped us to understand the content of the Upanishad. Thank you so much. The platform is open for participants. They can ask questions from speaker, or if they want to add something, they are most welcome.
पाठा साहब नमस्कार।
नमस्कार जी।
जी सर, ये अंतःकरण चतुष्टय कहते हैं, मन बुद्धि चित्त अहंकार, इन चारों का आपस में संबंध साधारण व्यक्ति कैसे समझे जो नया नया थियोसॉफिस्ट हुआ है?
थियोसॉफी का बात नहीं है। जनरली if you observe our actions, if we observe keenly what we are doing, what we are thinking, what we are saying, then we will find an interrelation between mana, chitta, buddhi, ahankara. Because how we behave under a certain condition depends on all these four faculties of mind. Let me tell you one example. When I am doing certain action, is it spontaneous or I give a thought to it? If I give a thought to it, then where from I get that thought? If I desire something to eat or enjoy, where from it comes? Suddenly I don't desire. It comes from a seed, a root. And that root is the impression in the storehouse of mind somewhere. Because I don't see where from it is coming. I only desire. Let me ask myself a question. How I desire? Where from this desire comes? Then if I meditate on it, then definitely we'll go that some internal machinery is there which is producing desire in me. When I am angry with somebody, is it spontaneous or because of transaction with that body? I mean, that man. Suppose I am angry with some man, whether spontaneously or just like that I am angry, or because that man is behaving in certain way to me, it is just I retort to him. And that retort, how I'll do it? Because there is something internal which provokes me and I become angry. Maybe his words are. So that is under behavioral science. And that behavior comes out of my past experience. So this experience teaches me how to behave in a particular situation. I think that is how we can, just ordinary men can also know about this four faculties and how they interact in our daily life. Thank you. I don't know if I have explained it, but then I think some people may, there are learned people in this gathering. Please assist me in explaining if I am not able to do that.
थैंक यू सर। शिंदे साहब कुछ कहना चाहते हैं शायद।
Sure, sure.
Shinde sir is there. Shinde sir is there.
थैंक यू
Yes,
Sir,
yes,
please
yes.
add something.
हाँ यस दरबा पांडा जी आपने तो बहुत बहुत अच्छा से बता दिया है यू हैव
जी।
एक्सप्लेन्ड वेरी नाइसली कठोपनिषद so
जी।
what is this is Kathopanishad, no?
This is Kathopanishad.
Kathopanishad. Very nicely you have explained and how we can go beyond the mind, and Nachiketa's story also you have predicted. Very nice explanation. The question that is discussed now is about the Manabuddhi Ahankara Chitta.
Yeah.
This is what the basic question. We have to understand the human mind has 4 dimensions.
Yes.
And out of these 4 dimensions, Mana, Buddhi, Ahankara are the 3 dimensions. And
Yes.
Chitta is the 4th dimension. So the human mind has 4 dimensions, and 3 dimensions are created through 3 different elements called Buddhi, which is we call as the intellect, Manasa, Mana means emotions, and Ahankara is the ego. Mana,
Sure.
Buddhi,
Ahankara.
Ahankara. These are the 3 dimensions. And the 4th dimension, Chitta, is the mind stuff. This is what we call a record keeper. This Chitta is the record keeper of the 3 dimensions, and actually it is a reflection of 3 elements. Each dimension has a specific function, specific location, specific feature, specific strength, specific weakness, everything. Each dimension has got this specific location, specific features, specific strength, and specific weakness. You can understand this. Buddhi has got specific function, Ahankara has got specific function, and even our Mana, what we call emotion, also has got a specific function. So these 3 dimensions, all this is recorded in the Chitta. Chitta is the record keeper.
Record keeper.
And that is the mind stuff. So if we understand this, then how these, as you have explained nicely, Jnanendriya and Karmendriya. Jnanendriya are from outer world, they bring everything to the mind. Then Karmendriya from mind to again outer world. Yeah. So like this, and in between there is this mind stuff, Chitta. So once we understand this, then the human mind, how it works in 4 dimensions, that is what nobody knows what is mind, because that is in such a way, and later on, when we try to study the mind, we become mindless. Amana state it comes. When
Yeah.
we go deeper and deeper, that
Sure.
Amana state comes. And that is what you have said. Unless we understand the one who is within us, you have explained very nicely that Atma is there. That is what Nachiketa was given the lesson. What is that which is permanent? So human soul is there, and that soul, Atma, knowing him only we can get through this cycle of birth and rebirth. There is a very nice prayer in Shweta Upanishad
Yeah, yes, that's
that we used to chant in the evening meditation. Eko hanso bhuvana sasya madhye saheva agni salile sannivishtaha tvameva vidittvati mrityumeti nanyappantaha vidyate ayana. Which means he is the only there. He is the only in the universe. He comes and goes. And knowing him and him only, one can pass through the cycle of birth and death. Nanyappantaha vidyate ayana. There is no other path to go. So that is what teaching is given in Upanishad and all this, which is very well aligned with our theosophical teaching, because theosophy is more or less Advaita, oneness of life. That is
exactly.
what Shankaracharya has told. The same thing is told by the Buddha. These two great teachers have given a right knowledge to the world. That's what I want to add in this. When the question is asked about the mind and these 4 dimensions, I maybe my understanding I have put before you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sushma ji, Pradeep Mahapatra, and thank you very much to Darbha Panda. I am
Thank you, sir.
Thank
to
you.
listen you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, sir. We missed you. Sir, we missed you in the first lecture. I was expecting you in the first
I was
lecture.
out of
Last Sunday.
Adyar that time.
Oh, I see. I see. Thank you for coming and
Thank you.
adding
Thank
this.
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
If there is no question, shall I close
Yeah, yes, yes.
meeting?
Yes.
Asato ma sadgamay, tamso ma jyotirgamay, mrityorma mritam gamay. From the unreal lead us to the real, from darkness lead us to light, from death lead us to immortality. Sarve bhavantu sukhna, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukbhag bhave. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, sir. Thank you, all the members,
All namaskar,
for joining,
namaskar to all.
for joining.